Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about salary expectations. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, should I set my salary expectation on my resume? No, you should not. The reason being very simply that it's not actually relevant when somebody looks at your resume to know kind of upfront how much salary that you are like sort of requesting, because usually there is a range, and that is like the first priority for a recruiter is to figure out, do you fit the sort of profile that we might be looking for. The second thing is that they reach out, and then you can have the conversation. The reason why you ideally want to do this in that fashion is because it's actually not value building for you to tell someone up front how much sort of you think that you are worth, because it can really only damage your chances of getting like a fair price depending on the region. Because as an example, let's say that you live in a poor region and you set a price based on your understanding of the market in that specific area, well, then all of a sudden you might be recruited from some place in the world where they're actually very wealthy, and you're sort of in a weaker negotiation position if you're saying that, yeah, you're sort of expecting that sort of money, because the price that your services are valued at is usually contextual. It depends on where you are, how much you should get paid. In some cases you're going to get paid more than in other cases, but if you set the number immediately, you sort of set the precedence of how things are going to turn out later. And I like to make an analogy to this sort of for this sort of thing. You remember, though I don't know if you're young enough to or old enough to remember that, but there was a time when the visit counters were really popular. These sort of clickers, like animations of how many people have visited a website. It's something that was going on in the 90s, and that was popular for a little while because people felt that, hey, this was a pretty accessible and cool way to see how popular somebody's website was. The problem was that when you started to realize that the amount of people visiting, well, if you didn't have a lot of visits, it's sort of like having a weak Instagram profile or Facebook profile. It sort of sets a tone that you're not doing so well. And because people are very, well, let's just say that a lot of people on the internet put a lot of value into a big number, and if you have a small number, that's actually just going to hurt you. It takes away focus from the value of the site, and rather you look at how popular the site is with that number. And then of course some people would fake it and so forth, but at the end of the day, it's also people realize that it had a negative impact on people visiting the site, and competitors could actually use this. This is sort of like giving away how well your business is doing to other people, and you're doing the same sort of thing. An example of a situation where it's actually really bad for you to put your salary expectation on the CV is, let's say that you become a consultant. Now, usually when you become a consultant, you work through some type of agency, and so they're going to rent your talent out, or like your hours out, to some company, and they are going to negotiate the price. And your employer is not going to like that you set like the price up front necessarily. It's not very likely, because basically they want to negotiate for the best price. And if you tell everybody what you think that you are worth, that sort of undermines their ability to actually set the price that is going to benefit. Well, it's not like they're doing it for you, they're doing it for them, because of course they take a cut out of the end salary that you're going to get, but they want to negotiate on your behalf. It's the same thing with recruiters a lot of the time. If you say, some recruiters want to do the salary negotiation on your behalf as well. And it all comes down to that exact same thing as I said. Your price and your value in the market is not determined usually as a static number, because it's determined on who's doing the hiring, what region you're in, what company it's about, etc., etc., etc. So setting like a flat number in salary expectations, well, can save you maybe a conversation here and there, but for the most part, it's more likely that it's going to turn out bad for you. And in some cases, it might actually be interpreted as a little bit presumptuous, because you're basically saying that, hey, I'm worth this amount, etc., etc., before people have even had a chance to evaluate you, etc., etc. It depends on the context. So what I want you to take away from this is that no, you should not set your salary expectations on your resume, because the expectations on salary and so forth, it sort of depends like what people are willing to offer you and so forth is usually a little bit of a private matter, because some companies, I mean, some recruiters are like really like they're gonna try to delay even telling you who they're recruiting for and salary expectations and stuff like that until you sort of proven yourself, etc., because any type of information that they leak related to how their hiring process works is gonna, well, potentially it's going to affect their, I mean, it can have a negative effect on the recruiter. It can have a negative effect on the company. If you're getting one price and other developers are getting other prices, they don't know, they want to control the information, if that makes sense. And so if you put out your salary expectations on your resume to start off with, well, you're actually putting yourself in most likely a more weak negotiation position, because usually when people are looking for software developers, it's not like they're going to look at, oh yeah, this person put their salary expectations, oh that's a bargain, or like this, etc. So it's better for you to just have that conversation once you actually are in the interviewing process, and it's going to come up, I promise you that much. And you can ask for it as soon as somebody reaches out or when you connect with people, but putting it on your CV is a little bit too, it's sort of like putting your nudes on the internet. Sure, it might work out for you, but it's usually a better idea if you're a little bit conservative with some things that you put out to the general public. That's just my 2 cents on it. Have a great day.